So, Lazarillo de Tormes, Tractado Primero, Part 2. Now that I was half better of my black battering and my bruises, and considering that by very few of such of these hits, the cruel blind man would have done away with me. So if he had hit me more, he would have killed me, would have done away with me. I decided that I wanted to do away with him, to free myself of him. But I didn't do it so soon so as to do it more, which was to my advantage, and to do it safely. Although I wanted to settle my heart, so to be kind to him, and to forgive him the matter of the jug. So el jarrazzo is him hitting the jug over my head. There was no opportunity for that due to his bad treatment that the evil blind man from now on was doing unto me, and he was wounding me. He was hurting me without cause or reason, giving me hits on the head and pulling my hair. And if alguno le decía por qué, and if anyone said to him and asked him why he was treating me so badly, at once he would tell them the story of the jug, saying, "You think that this my serving boy is some innocent lad? Well, listen, would it be that the devil would try such a trick as this, would try out this? Santiguándose los que lo oían decir, and those who were listening to him made the sign of the cross, and they would say, look, who would think that such a small lad could have such badness?" And they laughed very greatly at my trickery, and they said to him, "Punish him. It should be castigado." What they used to say like this, castigado. Punish him. From God you will have it. So you will have your rewards from God if you do it. And él con aquello nunca otra cosa hacía. He, with that, wouldn't do the same thing again. Or wouldn't do another thing again. And en esto yo siempre le llevaba. And due to this, I always would take him through the worst paths on purpose to hurt him and to hurt him. And if there were if there was rocks, I'd bring him over them. If there was mud, in the deepest mud we go. And although yo no iba por lo más enxuto, and even though I was not going dry, and even though I didn't come out of this dry, holgábame a mí, it pleased me to break an eye than holgábame a mí de quebrar un ojo por quebrar dos. Yeah, I was happy to break an eye in order to break two eyes of he who had none. So basically what that means, he was happy to hurt himself a bit as long as he was hurting him more. With this, with this always with the high end of his stick. He was hitting the back of my head, so he beat me. And the back of the head, which always I had full of bumps and hairs of his hands, and missing hair due to him having pulled it out with his hands. And although he swore that he didn't do it out of malice, rather, and although I swore that I didn't do this out of malice, didn't bring him through the bad ways out of malice, but to find the best path, this didn't help me at all. And he didn't believe me at all. Such was the sense and the great understanding of that traitor. So we can pull one over on him. And so that you, what somebody said, so that you see to the extent to which extended the genius of this astute blind man, I will tell you a case of many that happened to me with him, in which it seems to me one can understand his great astuteness, his great cunningness. When we left Salamanca, his idea was to come to Toledo because he said that the people there were richer, although not muy limosnera. So dar limosna means to beg. No muy limosnera means giving over to, like, ready to give people, to give money to beggars. Arrimábase a este refrán. He held with this saying. Más da el duro, more gives the hard one than the nude one. Which is to say, even though they're not great at giving over money, they're a bit, I would say, hard-faced, at least they've got riches, so they give more than poor people. And we came to venimos a este camino por los mejores lugares, and we came along the way, along the best paths, wherever we would, when we found God's welcoming and profit, we would stay there, and where we wouldn't, on the third day we would do a Saint Juan, which means we just leave. And so it happened that arriving to a place that they called Almorosh, at the time when they were collecting the grapes, grape harvester, how are we called? Grape harvester? Vendimiador. Gave to him a bunch of grapes of them. That's what he gave to the begging man in limosna. And since their baskets usually are not very good, and also because the grape at that time was very mature, desgranábasele el racimo en la mano. The grapes were coming off the bunch in his hands, and therefore to put it in his bag, it would have just turned into juice, grape juice. Not only the grapes, but also lo que a él se llegaba, also anything with touched it. So he decided to do a banquet, a picnic, because for not being able to take it, the bunch of grapes with him, and also in order to make me happy, since that day he had gave me lots of kicks with his knee, and he'd hit me a lot. So we sat down on a small wall, and he said, now I want, agora quiero yo usar contigo Luna, now I want to use with you of a liberality. So what that means is now I want to be generous with you. And what's going to happen is that we are both going to eat from this bunch of grapes. Y que hayas, and that you have so much of it, of the bunch, as I, and you have as much as it as I. Partillo hemos de esta manera. We will have the sharing in this way. We'll do the sharing in this way. You will take one, and I another one. As long as you promise me not to take each time more than one grape. I will do the same until we finish the whole lot. And in this way, there will be no deceit. The agreement thus made, let us begin. No, we began. But then, on the second time, the traitor changed his mind, and he started to take two grapes in two. And I considering that therefore I should do the same. No. He started to take two in two, and he must have been thinking that I would have done the same. Should be doing the same. And when I saw that he was breaking the pact, I was not content in ir a la par and in just going as he was doing, matching him, but going beyond him. So from 2 and 2, I went 3 and 3. As much as I could, I was eating them all. And once the bunch was finished, he was for a while with the stem in his hand, and shaking his head, he said, Lázaro, you have deceived me. I swear to God that you have eaten the grapes 3 and by 3s. I didn't eat, and then Lázaro says, I did not eat, I tell you. Why is it that you suspect that? And then the very wise one, or cunning one, sage one, responded. The very wise, sage, blind man responded, do you know, ¿sabes en qué veo? Do you know how I can see that you ate them 3 and by 3s? In that I was eating them by 2s and you didn't say anything. I laughed to myself, and although a young lad, I made much note of this this clever way of thinking of the blind man. But in order to not be long-winded, I will stop telling many things, many funny things to note. I will stop telling many things and these funny things to note. And with this, many things to note, that with this my first master happened to me. I want to tell of the saying goodbye, of how we said goodbye to each other, of how I left him, and with that, leave it. So we were in Escalona, a village or a town of the Duke of Escalona, of the same name, in a inn, and he gave me, so it must be the blind man, gave me a bit of sausage for me to roast for him. So roast on a spit. Since the longanisa had already been bathed in fat, and he had eaten the bits of fat off it, he took out a coin from his wallet or his bag, and he ordered me to go to the tavern for wine. And then the devil put before me the preparing and the apparatus. So before my eyes. So basically the devil put a plan into my head, which, as they usually say, the devil does to thieves. And it was that there was near to the fire a small turnip, which was a bit long and quite bad, such that, since it was not going into the pot, it must have been thrown away. And since at that moment nobody was there except him and me alone, and as I saw myself with a big appetite, having put myself in this way, having put myself inside the lovely smell of the sausage, of which only I knew that I was going to enjoy. So what he's saying there is he got the whiff of the sausage and he knew he was only going to be able to enjoy the smell of it, but he wanted to eat it because he was very hungry. And no, I'm not considering what could happen to me, since all the fear, pospuesto todo el temor, all the fear was gone in order to carry out my desire. When the blind man was taking out of his wallet the money, I took the sausage and very quickly I put the turnip, which I've just mentioned, on the skewer. So we took away the sausage from the skewer and put on the turnip on the skewer, which my master, giving me the money for the wine, took. So he took the skewer and started to turn it over in the fire, wanting to roast that which, de ser cocido por sus desméritos, había escapado. Okay, so wanting, and so he's a play on words here, trying to be funny. Wanting to roast that which had escaped from being cooked due to its badness, due to its demerits. That means wanting to cook the nabo which had been thrown away on account of it being bad. I went for the wine, during which time I didn't take long in getting rid of, in eating the sausage. And when I came back, I found the sinner of the blind man, who had between two pieces of bread the turnip, and apretado means it was being squashed between two pieces of bread. The turnip which he had not realised, since he had not touched it tries it with his hand, touches it with his hand. Como tomase las rebanadas y mordiese en ellas, pensando también. As he took the pieces of bread and he bit into them, thinking also to take a bite of the sausage, he found himself in coldness with the cold turnip. So he found himself in coldness. He was shocked. He was surprised by the cold turnip. And he became angry. He became angry, anxious, and said, "What is this, Lazarillo?" And Lazarillo answers, "Lazarillo, not Lazarillo, I'm more lacerated." I said, "If you want to blame me for something, yo no vengo de traer el vino. Am I not on my way back from having brought the wine? Someone who was there and wanting to play a trick must have done this." "No, no," said he. "I have not let go of the skewer from my hand. It is impossible." I once again swore and swore again that I was free. I was innocent of that switching and changing of the sausage for the turnip. But very little use this did me, since the astuteness of that damned, since from the astuteness of that damned blind man nothing can be hidden. He got up, he grabbed me by the hand, he started to smell me. And as he must have smelt my breath, just like a good hound, like a good dingo hound, in order to satisfy himself of the truth, to find out the truth, and with the great desire which he had, he was grabbing me with his hands and he was opening up my mouth more than he should, and forgetfully, or not paying attention, he was putting his nose, which he had, which was very long and sharp, and at that moment, due to his anger, it was bigger by a bit, and the end of it had arrived to me. The throat was touching the back of my throat, and with this, and with the great fear that I had, and also with the very shortness of time from which I had just eaten, the black sausage had not yet sat in my stomach well, and not yet calmed in my stomach. And lo más principal, whatever, con el destiento de la cumplidísima nariz, and with the poking of that very long nose, which was half suffocating me. All these things came together and was the cause of the fact, was the cause that the fact, or in this case the crime, and was the cause that the crime and the treat came to light. And what was his was returned to his master. So what he means there by the crime and the snack came to light was that he vomited it in his face, and what was his, the sausage, was returned to his master in a way that before the bad, evil blind man, before he could take out his nose, his trump, his beak from my mouth, my stomach felt such a movement that it hit him in his nose with the theft. And that means the theft being the sausage, that the sausage hit him in the nose. De suerte que, in a way that his nose and the black, badly chewed sausage at one and the same time came out of my mouth. Oh, good God. If only I were at that time buried, then dead already I was. The anger of the perverse, of the evil blind man was such that if they had not come to me, if they had not come over upon hearing the noise, so if people had not come over upon hearing the noise, I think that he would not have left me with life. They managed to get me out of his hands. Yeah, dejándose las hienas de aquellos pocos cabellos. Yeah, they managed to get me out of his hands, leaving his hands full of those few hairs that I had. My face was all scratched, my neck was full of scratches, and also my throat. But this, my throat, bien lo merecía, got its due, since it was because of its badness, of its crime, my throat's crime, that so many persecutions, so many punishments came to me. So the evil blind man was telling to all those who were there, all those who were coming near, what had happened, my disasters, and dávales cuenta, and was telling them over and over again. Así, the story of the jarro, the story of the jug of wine, and also of the bunch of grapes, and now the present story. The laugh of everyone was so great, and everyone that was going along the street came in to see the party. That the blind man was telling my feats with even more grace and skill and wit, that even though I was maltreated and I was crying, it seemed to me that I wasn't doing justice by everything if I did not also laugh at these stories. And while that was happening, it came to me, the memory, it came to my mind, it came to my memory of the cowardice and the mistake, or the weakness, the cowardice and the weakness that I had, and for which I was cursing myself, and that was in not dejarle sin narices, and not leaving him without a nose. So he was cursing himself for not biting his nose off, since I had such a good opportunity to do this, since the half of the path has already been walked. That is to say, he'd already put his nose into his mouth, and it would have only been to bring my teeth together, and that his nose would have stayed at home in his mouth. Y con ser de aquel malvado. And since the nose would have been of that evil man, by luck, my stomach would have kept it down better than it kept down the sausage. And no pareciendo ellas, so ellas are the narices, and since the nose would not have come to light, I could have denied the charge. So if they would have said, you bit his nose off, there would have been no evidence. To God it would have pleased, so God would have been happy that I had done that, and that would have been that. Right. So if ye hicieron los amigos la mesonera, so the innkeeper made friends with us and all those that were there, and with y con el vino que para beber le había traído, and they washed my face with the wine that they had brought him to drink. They washed my face and my throat, and about which the evil blind man was pouring out sort of witty comments saying, truthfully, this lad costs me more in wine. Por verdad, más vino me gastes en lavatorios al cabo de año que yo beben dos. So, sorry, this lad costs me more in wine for washing him, for treating him at the end of the year than I drink in 2 years. And he says to him, at least, Lazarillo, you are more indebted to wine than your father, because he gave you birth once, but the wine 1,000 times has given you life. And then he was telling so many times, y luego contaba cuántas veces me había descalbrado, and then he was saying how many times he had knocked my head open, and he'd scratched my face, and he'd cured this with wine. I say to you, he said, that if any man in the world is going to be lucky with wine, that will be you. And those who were washing me with this were laughing a lot, although I refused to do so. But the prediction of the blind man did not end up being a lie, and afterwards here many times I remember that man who without doubt must have had a prophecy gift, and I'm sorry for the bad things that I did to him, although I gave him his due, considering what he said to me that day, lo que aquel día me dijo, what he said to me that day, and ended up being very true, as further you will hear, further on in the story. This being seen, y las malas pruebas que burlaba de mí, upon consideration of this and of the bad tricks or treatment that the the blind man was playing on me these bad tricks, I decided, after all, to leave him. And y como lo traía pensado y lo tenía en la verdad, and since I was thinking about it anyway, and I had the wish to do so, with this last game he played on me, it made me, this last game that he did on me, it made me be more sure about it. And it was thus that then the next day, another day, we left, salimos por la villa, we went around the town to ask for, to beg, and it had rained a lot the night before, and because it was raining also during the day, and he was praying beneath some portals, beneath some arches that there were in the village, where we weren't getting wet. But since it was getting dark, the night was coming, and it wasn't stopping raining, the blind man said to me, Lazarillo, this water, this rain, is very, very persistent, and as the night is drawing closer, more stronger it is. Let us take ourselves inside in time before it gets any stronger. To go there, we had to go over a stream that was very large due to the great amount of water. And I said to him, Sir, the stream is very wide, but if you want, I can see where we should cross. But swiftly, we must do it without getting wet, because in that place there, it's very narrow. And jumping, we will get over it and not get our feet wet. It seemed to him a good advice, and he said, you are very clever. That is why I like you. Take me to this place where the stream is narrow, and now that it is winter and the water tastes bad and more to have wet feet. Yeah, so he's saying, just to go over that bit again, take me where the stream is narrow, because it's winter and I don't like water, and especially I don't like having wet feet. I, who then saw everything being prepared for my wishes, I took him underneath the arches and I brought him directly to a pillar or a post of stone, which was in the square, and on which, and what on other types of pillars, those houses were resting and were hanging over. And I said to him, Sir, this is the place where you can go over, where it is the narrowest, the stream. Let me do that again. Sir, this is the crossing which is most narrow that the river, that the stream has. As it's raining strongly, since it was raining strongly and the sad man was getting wet, and with the hurriedness that we had for getting out of the water that was falling on us, and principally, above all, because God blinded him, because God at that time blinded his reasoning in order to let me have vengeance, the blind man believed me, and he said, put me straight, and you put me straight, yeah, put me pointing in the right way, and you jump over the stream. I put him straight in front of the pillar, and I jump and stand behind the post, just like someone who's waiting for a bull to come. And I said to him, Sus, I don't know what Sus is. Jump all that you can. Jump as far or as strong as you can, so that you give of this ends of water. Yeah, so that means, so jump all that you can so that you clear the water. I had hardly finished saying this when the poor blind man swings back like a male goat, and with all his power, with all his speed and force, starts to charge. And he even takes a step back as a type of run-up to make a bigger jump. And he hits his head on the post, which sounded so loudly as if he had hit it with a big pumpkin. And he fell down, backwards, half dead, with his head split open. How? ¿Cómo yoliste? How is this? So, and you smelled the sausage, and you didn't smell the you didn't smell the pillar. So he's taunting him. Ole, ole, I said to him, and I left him in the care of the many people who had gone to help him. And tomó la puerta de la villa, and he took, tomo, and I take la puerta de la villa en los pies de un trote, and I take the door of the town, so I leave the town trotting, and on the run, I run out of the gates. And before night falls, I came across, or I got to Torrijos. I didn't know anything more. I didn't know anything more of what God did with him, the blind man, nor did I take cares of finding out. And that brings us to the second Tractado. Let's leave it there.